Hello everyone. This is a story for you to fall asleep with. Before you get comfortable, like the video and subscribe for more. Also, comment where are you from and what time are you listening. Enjoy.
The sky had forgotten how to be blue. Ash hung where clouds once drifted. Sunlight, filtered through the choking haze, turned the world a sickly amber. Tristan, known to most as Trick, wiped sweat from his brow, the grit leaving a smear of gray across his temple. He crouched beside the rusted skeleton of a long-dead sedan, prying loose a battery cell with fingers burned tough by sun and survival. His shirt clung to him in the summer heat, nearly 50 degrees Celsius today, and that was in the shade, if you could find any. Trick stood, surveying the ruined strip of what had once been downtown Sacramento. Buildings slumped like drunks after a bender, metal warped, concrete scorched. Nature hadn't reclaimed this place. She had abandoned it. He missed trees, missed laughter, missed a time when the sky was blue and the earth didn't punish you for breathing. But thinking about the old world too long made you weak. A shadow moved to his left. He didn't flinch. He recognized the shape. "You're slow today," said Chip, tossing a canteen his way. Trick caught it one-handed, drank. Battery casings were fused. Radiation warped the metal. Chip grunted. "Could still trade. Junction needs power cores." "We'll see. Might get more for it up north." They moved together, methodical. Two scavengers, hunting treasure in a graveyard of ghosts. Trick was the muscle, Chip the eyes. Tall, blonde, with a wiry frame that moved fast, despite the heart that occasionally failed him. "Any signs of activity?" Trick asked. "Smoke column about 6 clicks west. Not fresh. Maybe a day old. Could be sovereigns. Could be loners. Either way, not our problem if we move fast." Trick nodded. They moved on. 2 hours later, they hit pay dirt, a collapsed garage with a sealed bunker underneath. Trick cracked the hatch. Air hissed. Cool. Stale. Inside, tools, a disassembled generator, and, miracle of miracles, an old medical kit with unexpired antibiotics. Trick held it like gold. Chip whistled. "You could trade that for clean water, easy." "I could, but I won't." "You think about the settlement again?" Trick didn't answer. They both knew the dream. A safe place. Walls. Water. Rules. Justice. In a world where governments were fairy tales, and the only currency was trust and trade, Trick wanted to build something permanent. Something good. Something Emberfall. They returned to camp as dusk crawled over the wasteland. Their shelter was little more than tarps and scavenged sheet metal propped against a wall of crumbled rebar. But it was theirs, and tonight the fire flickered with promise. Chip dropped their haul beside the fire pit. "We've got 3 trade days worth. Maybe more." Trick nodded, crouching to clean his hands. "Enough to start looking." Chip raised a brow. "You're serious about this settlement thing?" "I am." "You think people will follow?" "Not at first, but give them a wall, water, a sense of safety. They will." A silence passed between them. Then Chip said quietly, "You know I'll follow, always." Trick met his gaze. "And I'll never ask more than that." They left 2 days later, traveling north by dawn. They avoided known raider routes and kept low through the canyon edges. 3 days out, in a wind-scoured basin near the bones of an old train yard, they found her. Diane. She was surrounded by 3 men. Scavengers gone, desperate. Knives drawn. Trick saw the glint of a pistol on one. He didn't wait. His rifle barked once, then again. One man fell. Chip moved like lightning, tackling the second. Diane kicked the third in the knee, disarming him with a vicious twist. When the dust settled, Only Diane stood with them. Trick offered a hand. "You all right?" She took it. "Now I am. Name's Trick. This is Chip." "Diane, you got anywhere to go?" She looked past them to the smoldering bodies. "Nowhere worth going back to." Trick smiled. "Then come forward." That night, around a small fire, Diane told them stories of the southern wastes, of wrecked cities and narrow escapes. She was bold, irreverent, and sharp. Chip laughed more than Trick had heard in weeks. When she leaned against him to sleep, Trick didn't move. The journey had changed. So had the dream. They reached the canyon at dusk. Steep walls, shaded red and orange by centuries of erosion, enclosed a wide basin of cracked earth and scattered rock. But near the far end, tucked behind a wall of fallen stone, was water. A spring, bubbling slow but steady from a split in the canyon wall. Trick knelt beside it, tasted, swallowed. "Clean," he said. "We found it." Chip stood behind him, grinning wide. Diane scanned the canyon rim. "You think it's safe?" she asked. "No place is," Trick said. "But this could be made safe." He stood, eyes fixed on the horizon. "This is where we start." Building Emberfall was never going to be easy. They scavenged from ruins for weeks, dragging back beams, bolts, metal sheeting. Diane found a working solar inverter. Chip fixed a wind turbine scavenged from a toppled comms tower. They built walls first, shoulder-height, steel slabs reinforced with rebar and mud-packed brick. Then a gate, hinged from the wreck of an armored truck. Then cisterns to collect rainwater. Then solar panels. Then a watchtower. Others came. Loners at first. Then a family. Then two. They offered trade. Then labor. Then allegiance. Some brought stories. Others brought scars. But they stayed. And Emberfall grew. It wasn't long before others noticed. One morning, as orange light rose over the canyon, Trick spotted movement on the ridge. A scout. He raised a scope. The man was marked. Tattoos of the Sovereigns, a roaming gang that ruled by fear. "We've been seen," Trick said. Chip didn't flinch. "Then we build faster." Diane loaded her rifle. "And we teach them we're not prey." That night, Trick called a meeting. A dozen people sat in a half-circle of salvaged chairs. The fire cracked. Children played just beyond the ring. "We built this for safety," Trick said. "But now that it's real, others will try to take it. We can't be just survivors anymore. We need structure, defense, laws." A woman named Lena, a former teacher, nodded. "A council?" "Elected," Chip said. "No rulers, just responsibility. And someone to protect it all," Diane added. Trick met her gaze. "Then we'll build that too." The ember of a city glowed hotter. But sparks draw eyes, and danger burns close. The man came at dawn, walking like someone with nowhere left to run. He wore a black jacket with a faded insignia, a rifle slung low on his back. Dust clung to him in layers, and he moved like he hadn't slept in days. But he didn't limp, didn't waver. He walked right up to the gate of Emberfall and stopped. Trick was already on the watchtower. "Don't shoot," the man called. "I'm alone." Trick signaled to Chip, then descended the ladder. Diane met him at the base, shotgun in hand. "What do you think?" "Could be scouting. Could be starving. Let's find out." They opened the gate slowly, just a crack. Trick stepped out. The man raised both hands. "Name's Arden," he said. "Former engineer. Used to run hydro rigs out east. Heard about a place in the canyons. Hoping the stories were true." "They are," Trick said. "Sometimes." "You got rules?" "We're building them." Arden nodded. "I can work. I've got gear. I've got skills." Trick studied him. "What don't you have?" The man's eyes were tired. Anywhere else to go. They let him in. Some argued, Lena especially. You can't just bring in every drifter who knocks, she said. We screen them, watch them, but we don't turn them away without reason, Trick said. That's not who we are. You don't know who they are either. We learn. That night, Trick sat with Arden at the fire. You really worked hydro? Yeah. Before the fall, and for a few years after. Kept a small town running. Then bandits swept through. Took everything but the water. You survived. Regretfully. Trick offered a flask. Arden drank. You're not wrong to be cautious, Arden said. But don't lose your humanity trying to keep it safe. You'll just build a new wasteland. With walls. Trick nodded. Another voice. Another reminder. Emberfall had to be different. Days passed. Arden worked hard. Quiet. Efficient. Generous with tools and knowledge. Diane took to him quickly. Chip trusted him after 3 days. Lena held out longer, but even she couldn't argue his usefulness. But on the 7th night, someone tried to steal from the armory. Trick caught them before they made it inside. It wasn't Arden. It was Corey, one of the first families to arrive. Her brother had died in the dust years ago. She still didn't trust strangers. I thought he'd open it from the inside. I just wanted to be ready, she said. Trick didn't yell. He looked at her, and he said, We're all tired. We've all lost. But if we turn on each other, we lose again. She cried. He let her. And in the morning, Arden brought her a set of rebuilt solar lamps. No words, just the gesture. Trust was slow, but it could grow. Even in the dust, the smoke rose black and high, thicker than any campfire, darker than any trade signal. Chip spotted it first from the new tower. Northwest Ridge, he called. 2 clicks out. Big burn. Trick was beside him in seconds, scanning with the long scope. Too structured for an accident, he said. This was set. Raiders? Or worse? He turned to Diane. Gear up. We check it. Quiet. The ride out took 20 minutes on rebuilt cycles. Diane led, her rifle across her back, Trick at her flank. When they reached the ridge, they stopped cold. Below them, in a shallow valley, a small settlement smoldered. Maybe 20 structures, shacks, water rigs, even a greenhouse. Now, twisted metal and scorched timber. Bodies lay scattered, like discarded tools. Diane cursed under her breath. I knew this place. They were peaceful. Farmers. Trick's face darkened. Then this wasn't conquest. This was a warning. They searched the ruins. One survivor. A boy, no older than 9, burned on his arms, trembling and mute. Diane wrapped him in her jacket. We're taking him home. That night, the Emberfall fire burned higher. The people gathered. Trick stood before them, the boy asleep beside him. This wasn't random, he said. This was a message. From who? Someone asked. Trick looked north. The sovereigns. Murmurs rippled. They think we're just another dream, he continued. Another camp they can wipe out. They're wrong. Lena stepped forward. So we fight? We defend. We prepare. But we don't become them. Arden nodded. Build stronger. Build smarter. That's how we win. The boy, they learned, was named Ty. He never spoke of the fire. Not at first. But he stayed close to Diane. And some nights, Trick heard him cry. And some nights, Diane would cry truculently into the firelight. The world was cruel. But Emberfall would not be. The sovereigns didn't strike immediately. Weeks passed. Emberfall expanded. The water spring was reinforced. New homes went up, rigged with heat shielding and solar collectors. Corey, once distrusted, now led food storage. Lena began teaching again. under canvas tarps strung with lights. But the shadow never left. Chip called it the tension in the wires, the sense that something could snap. Then came the shot. A single bullet, fired at night, from the darkness beyond the walls. It struck the outer gate, sent sparks flying. A warning. Trick didn't sleep that night. At dawn, he walked the wall with Diane. "They're testing us," she said, looking for weakness. Trick nodded. "We show them none. But if they come, then we hold." A meeting followed. The people packed into the half-finished gathering hall. "We can't win a war," Arden said. "Not head-on." "We don't have to," Trick answered. "We defend. We don't chase. We make this place not worth the cost." Chip added, "If they come for us, we make sure they regret it." Corey stood. "Then I want to train. All of us should." A murmur of agreement spread. Diane smirked. Finally, training began. Old world tactics, repurposed weapons, guard shifts doubled, sniper nests built into the cliffs. Diane took the lead. Every night, drills under firelight. She was fierce, unrelenting. Some feared her. Most followed her. And Trick watched, pride and worry tangled in his chest. One night, after training, he found her alone by the spring. "You're pushing hard," he said. "I have to." "You don't." She turned to him. "If they get in, we lose everything." He stepped closer. "We'll hold. Together." She searched his face. "You really believe that?" He took her hand. "I believe in you." And for a moment, the war faded. Only the wind remained. And the beating of two hearts, steady as hope. The signal came from the north. A repeating ping, short, sharp, almost like Morse. Arden caught it while recalibrating one of the old-world antennae they'd installed atop the canyon. "It's not natural," he told Trick. "It's too clean, too deliberate." "Coordinates?" Trick asked. "Close, 30 clicks, maybe less." Diane frowned. "A trap?" "Possibly. But if it's not, it could be tech. Or survivors. Or a vault." Trick looked toward the horizon. "Gear up. We ride at dawn." They left with a team of 4. Trick, Diane, Arden, and Kale. A wiry scout with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. The ride was silent, tense. Dry wind whipped through shattered overpasses and wind-beaten highways. Nature had barely returned. The world was still ash and rust. After hours of travel, they reached a low valley hidden between jagged stone ridges. And there, half buried in rock, was a bunker door. Arden stepped forward, fingers twitching with nerves and awe. "Military design," he whispered. "Old U.S. command post, I think." Diane looked at Trick. "We going in?" He nodded. And the past opened before them. Inside was darkness and dust, but also power. A backup generator still hummed faintly. Screens flickered to life as Arden patched a feed through his portable battery pack. "Data storage," he muttered. "Weapon logs, energy schematics, civilian registry files, pre-fall." Diane whistled. "Gold mine." Trick didn't smile. "Which means it'll attract vultures." And vultures came. The fight was brief but brutal. A sovereign scout team arrived just after dusk. 3 men, armed and cocky. They underestimated Emberfall's team. Kale took out one from above. Diane dropped another mid-charge. Trick ended the last with brutal efficiency. But the noise echoed across the land. And now the sovereigns knew. Knew Emberfall had something worth stealing. And war crept closer. They returned to Emberfall with more than they'd expected. Not just data, but working tech, drones, schematics, hydromaps. The bunker's library was vast. Arden called it the key to rebuilding civilization. The others called it dangerous. We keep it secure, Lena said. Lock it down until we can study it fully. We don't hoard knowledge, Trick replied. That's how the old world died. But if sovereigns get it, they won't. They fortified the archive. Chip helped rebuild the entrance under the watchtower, designing blast-proof doors and a decoy entrance. Diane trained new guards. Ty, now speaking a few words at a time, carried messages between posts. And then came the visitors. A caravan, 6 wagons, 30 people. Farmers, tradesfolk, even medics. Their leader, a stocky woman named May, carried an old flag sewn from tarp and copper wire. We've heard stories, she said, about a place with power, with hope. We want in. Trick met her eyes. We're not just a camp. We're building something. That means rules, contribution, community. May smiled. We've had enough of fear. We'll take purpose. Some didn't like it. Too many strangers, muttered Corey. But Lena said, fear builds walls. Hope builds futures. So they opened the gates again, and Emberfall grew. With May's people came knowledge, trade routes, old satellite maps, contacts in distant valleys, a bigger world, waking slowly from its nightmare. We could send envoys, May suggested, build alliances, share resources. Trick nodded. But careful, not everyone wants peace. Diane agreed. Some see walls and think conquest. Arden worked day and night on decrypting bunker files. What he found stunned them. Conquered, he said. It was a defense initiative, a failsafe to reboot society. Bunkers like the one we found exist all over the continent, some still active. Trick leaned forward. Connected? Possibly. Chip whistled. If we could reach them, it changes everything. And that night, Diane stood with Trick atop the wall, watching stars peek through the ash. If we connect the world, she said, we'll need more than walls. Trick nodded. We'll need principles, people, and love strong enough to hold it all. She turned to him. Good thing we've got that. And she kissed him, firm, fierce, full of fire. Beneath them, Emberfall glowed. Above them, a future waited. The message came via drone. A small, battered thing that sputtered into Emberfall's courtyard one morning with a red cloth tied to its tail. Peace, at least in theory. It carried a short voice message, recorded in low fidelity. I am Reich, of the Sovereigns. I speak for our Eastern detachment. You have something we want. Let's talk. No tricks, no ambushes. One day's ride from your canyon will wait. Trick stared at the recording, jaw clenched. They want the bunker, Diane said. Or the tech. Or us dead, Chip added. They could have attacked already, Lena offered. This might be real. Or a stall, Arden said. They're gauging us, probing. Trick weighed it all. We meet them, he said, but we control the terms. He rode with Diane and May to the neutral meeting, pointed dead factory, surrounded by scorched scrub and skeletal machinery. Reich was waiting. She wore desert armor, pieced together from scavenged tactical gear, her face lined by sun and war. Around her stood 10 soldiers, calm, alert. I didn't think you'd come, she said. We don't hide, Trick replied. I've heard stories that you've built something, that you think the old ways can work. They can, they are, she laughed, dry and hard. You think you're different? We all started like that. Then the world sharpened its teeth. It's still sharp, Trick said. We just stopped chewing on each other. She studied him. You've got walls, power, people, and something more under that canyon. We've got a future. She let silence stretch. then said, "The sovereigns won't leave you alone, but I can hold my detachment back for now. In exchange, you give me something." "What?" "Access. Tech. One drone, one file. Just to prove it exists." Trick glanced at Diane. She gave the faintest nod. "Deal," he said, "but only once. And only you." Back at Emberfall, Arden fumed. "You're giving them access?" "One file," Trick said. "A decoy. Something non-critical. It's still a risk. It's a stall. Buy time. Gather strength." And when Reich received her file, a decades-old water grid overlay, she said nothing. But she didn't attack. And Emberfall breathed, for now. Peace was a balancing act. And balance wobbled. Some of Emberfall's residents didn't trust the truce. Others demanded more. Why not negotiate further? Why not strike now while we're strong? Corey was the loudest. "We've given too much. What happens when they want more?" "We prepare," Trick said. "We don't provoke." Tensions simmered. Then someone painted a red Sovereign X on the archive wall. Fear surged. People whispered of spies. Betrayal. "We're being watched," Diane said. "Or divided from within," Chip added. Lena proposed a council vote. Enforce nightly lockdowns. Restrict newcomers. Trick vetoed it. "We don't become what we fear." But the community was scared. And fear doesn't wait for consensus. One night, a group of masked residents cornered Arden, accusing him of conspiring with Reich. They found him by the antenna station, wrench in hand. "You're feeding them signals," someone shouted. "I'm boosting our range," he protested. But they didn't believe him. Trick arrived just as things turned violent. He fired a shot into the air. "Back down," he said. They did, but grudgingly. Later, Arden sat in the infirmary, lips split, hand wrapped. "I'm trying to save us," he muttered. "They think I'm betraying them, but it's this fear that'll break us." "I know," Trick said quietly, "and I won't let it." The next day, Trick addressed the people. "Fear is a weapon," he said. "We either control it, or it controls us." He paused. "I say we choose each other, again and again, until that choice is stronger than anything outside these walls." The crowd didn't cheer, but no one walked away. And sometimes that was enough. Rain came for the first time in weeks. Soft, brief, but real. Children danced in it. Ty laughed out loud, and Diane held him close with tears in her eyes. Even hope has weight. While the ground softened, the world shifted again. A courier arrived from the southeast. Young, fast, nervous. He brought news of Concord. "A coalition," he said. "New settlements joining forces. Defense, trade, governance. And they've heard of you." "Friend or foe?" Diane asked. "They want to talk, maybe join." Trick didn't answer right away. That night, he sat alone on the canyon rim. The stars were dim behind the dust. Diane joined him. "We can't stay hidden," she said. "I know." "Then let's choose how we're seen." A message was sent back with the courier. "Emberfall is listening." And the world listened in return. The beacon was born from the bones of the old world. Using parts from the bunker and salvage towers, Arden and Kale built it on the southern bluff-a-sleek spire of alloy and steel, topped with a rotating solar array and transmitter dish. "It's not just for show," Arden said. "This sends a signal. Wideband, high frequency, a call to every other settlement out there. You are not alone." Trick stood beside him. "Let's hope the right ones answer." The name came from Diane. "Emberlight," she said, "because it glows and it burns." It became a symbol, a message, a warning. One night, a stranger came through the South Canyon, limping, coat scorched from fire. She collapsed at the gates. Chip carried her in. Her name was Lyra. She was a coder, one of the last from a city called Delson's Reach. Her group had tried to awaken another Concord node and had been attacked by sovereigns. She had run for 5 days. "They're taking the nodes," she said, feverish. "Trying to control the data, rewrite the network." Arden paled. "They're not just looting, they're consolidating." Diane asked, "How many have they taken?" 3, maybe more." Emberfall was no longer a secret. It was a target. Lyra recovered slowly. She spent days in the archive, syncing her datapad with Emberfall's mainframe, mapping what she knew. "They're triangulating nodes," she said. "If they control 5, they can suppress signals across most of the region." "And we just turned ours on," Diane muttered. "They'll come," Trick said. Arden nodded. "Then we use it." Everyone looked at him. "Turn it up," Arden said. "Boost the signal. Let them come. Let everyone come. If we hold, we prove it's possible." Chip shook his head. "It's a gamble." "It's the truth," Trick said. "And truth is worth the risk." They prepared. Walls reinforced. Drones calibrated. Watch points manned. A second beacon lit, smaller, in the eastern slope. The message was clear. "We are here. We are free. We are many." And the replies began to come. One by one, in broken code or voice. "You are not alone. We hear you. Help is coming." Emberfall had become more than a settlement. It had become a spark. Trick met Lyra on the archive steps. "You sure about this?" he asked. She held the drive tight in her hand. "This has root code access. If they breach the signal core, this can lock them out, or blow the node." Trick nodded. "Final measure. Only if we lose." They split the drive into parts, hiding fragments in different corners of Emberfall in the vault. One beneath the water rig, one inside Diane's rifle stock. "We don't leave the key in the door," Arden said. Then, just before dawn, they spotted them. Sovereign banners, black flags, dust clouds rising. A full warband, hundreds, marching for Emberfall. They came with the rising sun. Dozens of motorbikes, armored trucks, foot soldiers moving in coordinated lines, sovereign banners rippling in the hot wind. A full assault force. From the walls of Emberfall, Trick stood with Diane, Chip, and Lena. Below them, people moved to defense posts, trained, ready, afraid but standing firm. "We've got one shot at holding this," Diane said. "We lose the gate, we lose everything." "We won't," Trick replied. "Not while we still stand." Arden triggered the signal jammer. It fuzzed the sovereign comms, just enough to delay orders. Kyle and Ty manned the drone nest. Automated gliders shot forward like angry hornets, slamming into the lead trucks. Explosions lit the horizon. Gunfire erupted. The battle began. It was chaos. Dust, blood, noise. The first wave hit the Gatemolotovs, chains, steel bars. Emberfall's defenders responded with fire lines, bolted shields, and repurposed launchers. Chip collapsed once, his heart stuttering, but rose again, dragging a wounded guard to safety. Diane moved like lightning, her rifle singing, her body cutting through smoke and fear. Trick held the western flank, barking orders, covering breaches, leading charges. Hours passed. The sun climbed. Still they held. Then a breach. A squad of sovereigns broke through the water rig tunnel. 2 defenders fell. Lyra faced them. She held the drive. She could have run. Instead, she activated the failsafe. A surge. A pulse. The tunnel collapsed. burying the squad and Lyra with them. They found her later, still dust-covered, but smiling. "They won't rewrite anything," she'd whispered before slipping away. By dusk, the sovereigns retreated, not beaten, but bloodied, and Emberfall still stood. The fires burned long into the night. Smoke rose above the walls like ghosts. People walked wounded but upright. Children helped patch tents. Elders brewed herbs. And silence finally came. A soft, reverent kind. Trick stood by the spring, his boots stained, his hands scraped raw. Diane joined him, her arm in a sling, dirt streaking her face. "We survived," she said. "For now," he replied. "Is that enough?" He looked at her. "It's the start." The next morning, they buried the fallen. Lyra, 3 guards, a farmer named Elois, 2 teenage brothers who'd come from the east. Trick spoke few words. "Names matter," he said, "because they remind us what we're fighting for. We remember them. We carry them forward." That night, Emberfall didn't party, but it sang. Soft songs, new songs, children's songs. The first celebration in a long, long time. And under the stars, Trick and Diane sat together. She leaned against him. He kissed her temple. "I love you," he said. "I know," she whispered. "Now stop waiting and build the rest of your life with me." He smiled. "I already started." Weeks passed. Then months. The world didn't heal. Not all at once. But it began. The network grew, connected by Emberfall's beacon and Concord's remains. Settlements linked up. Trade routes reformed. A shared council emerged. Not a government, but a foundation. Chip was elected Emberfall's representative. "I never wanted power," he said, "but I'll serve, because it matters." The archive was expanded, the bunker repurposed. Children attended classes. The first wedding was held near the spring. It wasn't big, but it was joyful. Diane wore white. Trick wore a smile he couldn't hide. They kissed under the rust-colored sky. The sovereigns faded, not erased, but broken. Some defected. Some rebuilt elsewhere, quietly. War no longer ruled the road. And Emberfall became more than a settlement. It became a symbol, not of perfection, but of possibility. The years rolled on, measured not in days but in harvests, in children's laughter, in stories passed around firelight. The world did not return to what it had been, but it became something new, cleaner, slower, wiser. Where once there was war and ash, now there were gardens. Where there was silence, now music drifted again through the canyon winds. Trick stood atop the tower that had once been a watch point. Now it was a lighthouse, not for ships, but for souls. Diane stood beside him, their daughter in her arms, her hair a bright splash of copper in the sun. "She has your eyes," Diane said. Trick kissed her forehead. "She has your fire." They watched the sun fall below the horizon. And far in the distance, a beacon answered their own, faint, blinking, but there. Another settlement, another hope, another ember. Below them, Emberfall pulsed with life. Forges clanged. Children played tag around old solar posts. Traders negotiated with laughter. Elders told stories that began with dust and ended in light. The council chamber glowed. Chip sat in his chair, older now, but steady. Lena spoke softly with a teacher. Corey passed out fresh bread. Arden's wind rig still hummed its constant, comforting song. And the city, once just a dream in the minds of 3 wanderers, stood tall. Real, bright, enduring. Because in the ashes of the old world, one truth remain. What burns can break, but what smolders, given time, can become a fire that never dies. Emberfall, the beginning.